I need to confess something. The moments I've wanted a man the most weren't during sex. They were before it ever happened. A stare that felt like it stripped me bare. A whisper so close it made my skin tingle. A touch that brushed me, then disappeared before I could lean into it. Those moments make women restless. They make us crave. I've gone home aching from a look. My friends admit the same. Your girl probably has too. And the trigger that ruins us most? That's number 11. Because it doesn't just turn us on. It makes us obsessed, replaying you in our mind. When you're not even there. I'm a woman. I felt it. And now I'm exposing it. The predator gaze. I need to be honest with you. Nothing makes a woman's body react faster than the way a man looks at her. Not the polite smile. Not the friendly glance. I'm talking about that steady, unflinching stare that feels like you've already undressed us without moving a muscle. We feel it instantly. Our chest tightens, our stomach flips, and our legs shift under the table. We pretend not to notice, but inside, we're melting. The psychology is simple. Women are addicted to meaning. When you stare at us with that calm, controlled intensity, our mind fills in the blanks. What is he thinking? Does he want me? Why does it feel like he already owns me? That silence in your eyes drives us wild because it forces us to imagine the answers. And imagination always burns hotter than anything real. I've lived this. One man gave me that stare from across a crowded room, slow, steady. Then he looked away like he'd already decided something about me. My heart wouldn't calm down. I couldn't focus on anything else. Hours later, I was still replaying it, wondering what he saw in me that made him look at me that way. Here's your rule. Don't dart your eyes, don't fidget, don't soften it with a nervous smile. Hold her eyes for just a beat longer than feels normal, then let go first, like you chose to end it. That one move flips the dynamic. Because now she's not thinking about the conversation, or the room, or anyone else. She's thinking about you and why she suddenly can't stop. And if you think the gaze is powerful, wait until you see what happens when you add mystery to it. The whisper of restraint. There's something about a man's voice that can undo us without him even touching us. Not when he talks too much, not when he rushes his words, but when he slows down, lowers his tone, and lets his voice drop just enough that it feels like a secret, meant only for us. That kind of whisper doesn't just get heard, it gets felt. The psychology is simple. Women react to pacing. A rushed voice feels nervous, like you're trying to impress, but a slow, deliberate whisper feels dangerous. It makes us lean closer without realizing. It makes us wonder, what else is he holding back? That restraint doesn't calm us. It electrifies us. I've lived this. One man leaned close during a crowded night, and instead of speaking into the noise, he let his voice sink low, calm, almost too quiet. I felt it run through me, not as sound, but as sensation. My whole body leaned toward him before I even processed what he said. Another man? He spoke loudly, nervously, over-explaining himself. I forgot him instantly. But the whisper? That haunted me. Here's your rule. Don't waste words. Don't fill silence with chatter. Lower your tone, slow your pace. And when you lean close, don't even rush to finish the sentence. Let the pause hang. Let her imagination do the rest. Because when you speak like you're restraining more than you're saying, it doesn't just make her listen. It makes her ache to know what else you could have said. And if a whisper can drive her crazy, wait until you see what happens when your touch does the same thing. Appearing for a moment, then vanishing before she can have more. The accidental brush. I need to tell you something that every woman feels but will never admit out loud. The lightest, most innocent touch often drives us crazier than anything obvious. A fingertip grazing the inside of our arm. A hand brushing our lower back for just a second. Your leg accidentally touching ours under the table, then pulling away before we can react. That's what makes our body betray us. That's when we start craving more. The psychology is simple. Women are wired to chase what we're denied. A full-on grab can feel clumsy or even desperate. But when you give us just enough contact to wake up our skin, and then withdraw first, you flip the script. You leave our body buzzing, unfinished, hungry for the touch you refuse to continue. I've lived this. A man once let his hand brush against mine, then calmly pulled it back as if it didn't matter. My fingers tingled for hours. Another man sat beside me, his knee brushing mine, then gone. My stomach tightened. My breath shifted. And suddenly, I couldn't focus on anything else. It wasn't the touch itself. It was the loss of it that made me spiral. Here's your rule. Don't linger. Don't grab. Don't make it obvious. Give the smallest touch, then vanish like it never happened. Let her imagination replay it over and over, trying to decide if it was an accident or intention. Because the more she questions it, the more she craves the answer. And if you think a fleeting touch is powerful, wait until you see what happens when you add command to it. When you tell her what to do in a way that makes her body obey before her mind can resist. The forbidden command, there's something about a man who doesn't ask but tells. Not in a loud, bossy way, not in arrogance, but in a calm, grounded tone that makes it impossible not to listen. That kind of command doesn't just make us hear you, it makes our body respond before our mind catches up. The psychology is deep. Women are constantly surrounded by men who seek permission, who hesitate, who over-explain. That energy feels weak. But the man who looks at us and says, "Come here," or "sit," or even just "wait," with absolute certainty, sparks something primal. We feel guided, contained, claimed. And no matter how independent we are, that kind of direction flips a switch inside us. I've lived this. A man once caught my wrist when I was about to storm off, and instead of pleading, he simply said, "Stay." My whole body froze, not in fear, but in surrender. Another time, someone leaned down in a crowded place and told me, "Look at me." It wasn't loud. It wasn't rough. But I obeyed instantly, and afterward, I hated how much I loved it. Here's your rule. Keep it simple, keep it calm, keep it rare. Don't throw out endless orders. That feels insecure. But when the moment calls for it, give a clear direction with quiet authority. Let your tone carry the weight. When you do this right, she won't argue. Her body will respond before her pride can fight it. And the obsession comes later. Because after it happens, we replay it. We remember how we didn't think, didn't resist, we just listened. And that memory makes us crave more. Not because you forced us, but because you showed us we could let go. And if a single word can have that effect, wait until you see what happens when you don't even speak. When your very aura carries danger that makes her heart race the second you walk into the room. The dangerous aura, every woman can feel it. The man who carries danger without saying a word. He doesn't have to be loud. He doesn't have to show off. It's in the way he moves slower than everyone else. The way he takes up space without trying. The way he looks like he knows something no one else does. That energy doesn't just catch our attention, it pulls us in against our will. The psychology is primal. Women are drawn to contrast. Safety with a spark of risk. A man who feels too safe, too predictable, too soft, he fades into the background. But the man who feels calm, yet a little dangerous, makes our pulse quicken. We want to be close, but we also wonder if we should keep our distance. That tension is addictive. I've lived this. I once watched a man walk into a crowded room and say almost nothing. But the way he stood, the way people instinctively moved around him made me restless. My eyes kept finding him even when I told myself not to look. Another man tried too hard, talking loud, telling jokes, demanding attention. I barely noticed him. But the quiet one with the dangerous calm, I thought about him for days. Here's your rule. Slow your movements, hold your silences, and let your presence do the work. Don't over-explain, don't compete for attention. The less you give, the more she imagines. And that imagination is where obsession is born. And if your aura alone can spark desire, imagine what happens when her chaos collides with your stillness, when she throws her storms at you and you don't break. The storm-proof grip. I have to admit something women don't like saying out loud. Sometimes, we test men just to see if they'll crack. We throw attitude, we push, we snap. Half the time, it's not even about what we're mad at. It's about seeing if you can handle us when we're at our worst. And most men fail. They panic. They get louder. They chase. And the second that happens, we lose respect. But the man who doesn't break, the one who stays calm, steady, even when we're a storm, That man makes us melt, because deep down, every woman is looking for someone stronger than her chaos, someone who can take the fire without flinching. That control doesn't just calm us, it turns us on. I've lived this. I once yelled at a man, trying to provoke him, and instead of shouting back, he just stood there, eyes steady, voice low, body relaxed. He didn't collapse. He didn't chase. He just contained me, and in that moment, my anger flipped into attraction. Another man before him had matched my storm with his own, and all I felt was disgust. But the one who held steady, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Here's your rule. Don't rise to every spark. Don't let her chaos control your frame. Stay grounded, stay slow, stay calm. Because the second she realizes you're stronger than her storm, she'll stop fighting you and start craving you. And if a man can hold his ground against our fire, imagine what happens when he turns our own words against us, reminding us of the very secrets we thought he'd forgotten. The dirty mirror. There's one thing women never expect: for a man to actually remember the little things we say. We talk, we tease, we throw out lines half serious, half playful, thinking you'll forget. Most men do. But the dangerous man, the one who listens quietly, stores our words, and then uses them back on us at the perfect moment, he destroys us. The psychology is ruthless. When you mirror a woman's own words, you expose her. You force her to hear herself, to face her contradictions, to feel seen in a way she can't escape. And when you twist those words just slightly, make them teasing, suggestive, charged, it hits harder than any compliment. Because now it's not just you flirting, it's her own voice being used against her. I've lived this. Once, I told a man I hated being teased. Weeks later, in the middle of a playful argument, he leaned close and whispered, "Funny, you love it when I make you beg." My knees almost gave out. Another man repeated one of my lines back to me, but flat, lifeless. It felt forced, and I rolled my eyes. The difference was in the delivery. The first man made me feel caught in my own game, and I loved it. Here's your rule. Don't parrot her words. Reflect them with timing, with heat, with a knowing smirk that says you were paying attention when she thought you weren't. Use her voice to corner her into attraction. Because once she realizes you've been listening and you're bold enough to throw her words back at her, she'll never forget it. And if mirroring her words makes her melt, wait until you see what happens. When your presence alone becomes rare, so rare she starts chasing it like oxygen. The scarcity of masculine energy. I need to confess something blunt. Masculine energy is rare. I don't mean fake alpha vibes, loud bragging or acting tough. That isn't masculinity. That's insecurity dressed up. What women crave and barely ever find is a man who's calm, grounded, and steady no matter what. The kind of man who doesn't chase the room, but makes the room adjust to him. The psychology is simple. Most men today are frantic. They overtext, they overtalk, they overshare. They need attention the same way we do, and it kills attraction. But when a man moves slowly, speaks less, and holds himself like he already knows he's enough, our feminine energy can't help but lean in. That contrast makes us soft, open, and restless for more of him. I've lived this. I remember meeting a man at a party who barely said 10 words to me. He didn't hover, didn't try to impress. He was just there, calm, present, unbothered. And instead of forgetting him, I found myself searching the room for him, wishing he'd look my way, aching for him to say something. Another man that same night never shut up, boasting, performing, trying too hard. I don't even remember his name. But the one with the rare stillness? I thought about him for weeks. Here's your rule. Stop trying to perform. Stop trying to prove. Your calm presence is more powerful than any trick or line. Let her come into your orbit. Let her lean into your gravity. Because the rarer your energy feels, the more she'll chase it. And if scarcity of energy makes us chase, wait until you see what happens when you turn cold. When you pull back completely and leave us starving for your warmth. The ice out? I need to admit something women hate to admit. Nothing drives us crazier than your indifference. Anger we can handle, attention we can control, even rejection we can spin in our head. But when you go cold, when you stop giving us anything to feed on, that's when we spiral. The psychology is brutal. Women thrive on reaction. If you argue, if you explain, if you chase, we know we still have you. But when you don't give us heat or hate, when you stay calm, detached, and silent, you flip the script. Now we're the ones scrambling. We start dressing hotter, posting thirst traps, texting first, throwing out bait just to break your ice. I've lived this. I once ignored a man on purpose, thinking he'd double text, beg for answers, prove I had power. Instead, he went silent. No anger, no questions, just calm absence. Within days, I was unraveling. My pride told me to hold out, but my body betrayed me. I wanted his warmth back so badly I started chasing him. Another man in the past? He blew up my phone when I pulled away, and I lost all respect instantly. The difference was night and day. Here's your rule. Don't weaponize silence out of spite. That's childish. Use indifference with calm certainty. Withdraw without drama, without explanation. Make her feel the space you've created. Because when your warmth becomes scarce, she'll burn herself trying to earn it back. And if cold silence can make us chase, imagine what happens when we realize you have something even rarer. Standards so strong you'd walk away before you ever bend. The untouchable standard. There's one thing that makes women obsessed long after you're gone. A man who refuses to bend. Most men crumble the second we test them. We pout, we threaten to leave, we push against their boundaries, and they cave. And the moment they do, we lose all respect. But the man who stands firm, calm, unshaken, he burns into us forever. The psychology is simple. Women don't consciously want to admit it, but we crave the man we cannot control. When you hold your line, when you'd rather walk away than be disrespected, it flips everything. Suddenly, you're not another guy trying to win us. You're the man we're terrified to lose. That fear doesn't just pull us back. It makes us restless, competitive, even erotic in our need to prove we're still worth your attention. I've lived this. I once tried to push a man past his limits. Late replies, disrespectful comments, testing if he'd break. Instead, he just looked at me calmly and said, "That doesn't work on me." Then he walked away. My pride wanted to laugh it off, but my body didn't listen. I obsessed. I replayed it. Weeks later, I still caught myself imagining him because he was the only one who wouldn't bend. Another man? I disrespected him once, and he over-explained, begged, compromised. I forgot him by morning. Here's your rule. Never negotiate your self-respect. Don't argue, don't beg, don't prove. Stand tall, hold steady, and if needed, walk away without hesitation. That silence leaves a scar deeper than any fight. Because once a woman feels she can't move you, she doesn't just respect you, she starts craving you. And if a standard that unshakable can leave us restless, wait until you see what happens when you use nothing but your eyes. A single glance that feels like a touch. The breath against her skin. This is the one that ruins us. The one that makes women ache in ways we can't admit out loud. It's not a kiss. It's not even a touch. It's when a man's breath lingers against our skin. Close enough to feel, but never quite landing. That moment destroys us because it feels like you're holding back something we desperately want. The psychology is lethal. The neck, the ear, the cheek, those are our most sensitive zones. When your breath brushes them, it bypasses thought. Our body reacts before our brain does. Goosebumps rise, our pulse spikes, and heat pools low in our stomach. And the worst part? You didn't even do anything. You left us with a craving our imagination has to finish. I've lived this. A man once hugged me, his lips hovering near my ear. He didn't whisper. He didn't kiss. He just let his breath touch my skin for a second before pulling away, calm and casual. My whole body froze. That tiny moment replayed for weeks. Another man hugged me that same night, stiff, polite, forgettable. I never thought about him again. But the one who let his breath haunt me, I couldn't escape him. Here's your rule. Never rush, never force. Let your face drift close. Let your breath graze her skin, then pull back as if you didn't even notice. That unfinished moment will ruin her. She'll keep replaying what almost happened, aching for you to finish it. And every time she remembers, her body will betray her all over again. This is the obsession trigger. The one women whisper about but never admit. The one that makes us yours, even when you never touched us. The verbal cage. I need to admit something. Women get trapped by words more than we get trapped by touch. Not sweet talk, not endless compliments. Those are easy to ignore. What hooks us is when a man uses words like a cage, playful, teasing, suggestive, just enough to keep us off balance. The psychology is clear. Women crave tension. Too much comfort and we get bored. Too much pressure and we shut down. But when your words hover in the middle, when they imply instead of state, when they tease instead of praise, they keep us guessing. And the guessing is what makes us crave. I've lived this. One man used to tease me by saying, "Careful, you're getting addicted to me." I'd laugh, pretend to brush it off, but inside, I was. Another time, a man stopped me mid-sentence, smirking as he said, "You don't even realize how easy you are to read, do you?" My stomach dropped. I thought about it for days. Meanwhile, the guy who told me I was so beautiful 10 times in one night, forgettable, too obvious. Here's your rule. Don't over-compliment. Don't try to win her with praise. Instead, use playful words that challenge her. Say less, but make every word feel loaded. Tease her just enough to make her wonder if you're serious. Make her lean in to decode you. Because once her mind is locked inside your words, her body will follow. And if your words can cage her mind, imagine what happens when you walk away at the peak of her desire, leaving her dripping with unfinished craving. The ghost touch exit. I need to confess the trigger that ruins us the most. It's not the kiss. It's not the hug. It's not the touch you give, it's the touch you take away. The man who leaves us craving instead of satisfied burns into us deeper than any lover who gave us everything. The psychology is brutal. Women are wired to obsess over the unfinished. If you give us the whole story, we enjoy it, but then it's over. If you cut it short, if you walk away when our body is still begging for more, you leave us haunted. Our imagination does the rest, replaying what almost happened, what could have happened, what should have happened. That loop is obsession. I've lived this. A man once kissed my neck, slow and deliberate, then pulled back like it meant nothing. My knees nearly buckled, but he was already walking away. For weeks, I replayed it. I thought about what would have happened if he stayed. I wanted him more because he didn't give me more. Another man kissed me fully, sloppily, giving everything away. I forgot him the next day. Here's your rule. Don't always finish the moment. Leave when she's aroused, not satisfied. Pull back when she wants more. Walk away calmly, like you're in control of the scene. That restraint won't make her move on. It will make her chase. She'll touch herself replaying you. She'll fantasize about the ending you never gave her. And long after you're gone, she'll still feel your ghost, because that's what the ghost touch is. It lingers on her skin, in her mind, in her body, long after you're not there. And that's how obsession is born. Now you see the truth. It was never about the obvious. It was never about the kiss, the hug, or the bedroom. Women crave men long before sex ever happens. We get hooked by the psychological triggers that sneak under our skin, the ones we can't explain, the ones that leave us restless and obsessed. Every single one of these 13 triggers works because of one thing: restraint. You didn't give it all away. You didn't rush. You didn't over-explain. You held the frame while we spun inside of it. That's what separates a forgettable man from the man who lingers in our body forever. The predator gaze doesn't just make us feel seen, it makes us feel claimed without a word. The whisper of restraint isn't about what you say, it's about the secrets you don't say, the ones we imagine. The accidental brush, the forbidden command, the dangerous aura, they all work because they hold something back. They give us just enough to ache for more. And when you stay calm in our storms, when you mirror our words back, when you let your energy stay scarce and cold, we feel it, we hate it, we crave it, because suddenly you're not reacting to us. You're not bending to us. You're not chasing us. You're standing steady, untouchable, and we're the ones chasing you. Masculine energy doesn't cling, it doesn't beg, it doesn't try to prove itself. It attracts by pulling us into a gravity we can't escape, and the deeper we fall, the more we regret ever testing it. Here's the obsession-regret tension you need to understand. If she ever walks away, she will regret it. She'll forget the men who gave her everything too soon. She'll forget the ones who bent, who begged, who rushed. But she will never forget the man who left her unfinished. The one who stared too long. The one who whispered too soft. The one who brushed her and vanished. The one who walked away when her body still wanted more. That's the man who leaves a scar. That's the man who lingers. That's the man we crave long after he's gone. Remember this. Masculine energy doesn't chase. It makes us chase. It doesn't finish. It makes us crave the ending. And once a woman feels that, she'll never stop replaying you. You've just learned secrets most women would never say out loud. And now you know why some men get forgotten instantly, while others get replayed in our minds for weeks, months, even years. If this opened your eyes, hit the like button right now. Drop a comment below and tell me which trigger shocked you the most. And don't just watch once, subscribe. Because every day I'm exposing another hidden part of female psychology. The truths we whisper to each other behind closed doors, but never admit to men's faces. And here's your warning. If you miss a single one of these videos, another man won't. He'll hear it, he'll use it. And the woman you're thinking about right now, the one you want craving you, she'll end up craving him instead. So stay here, stay sharp, and become the man she can't stop obsessing over.